How does a company bounce back after destroying the Gulf of Mexico? Sorry, Gulf of America. Sweet, sweet corporate propaganda. That's how. Beyond darkness, there is light. Beyond fear, there is courage. Beyond power, responsibility. So begins the award-winning copy in BP's Beyond Petroleum ad campaign. Sounding very much like an overly serious Spider-Man cartoon, these ads ran from 2000 to 2008, brainwashing the public into thinking that BP was mostly interested in solar energy, wind farms, responsible use of superhero abilities. It's unclear. But what is clear is that BP was moving beyond petroleum. This is funny because BP, once known as British Petroleum, is still very much about extracting sweet, sweet crude out of the ground. BP is one of only 6 or 7 super majors, the biggest oil and gas companies on Earth. It's in the running to become one of the top 10 biggest corporations on the planet as well. After 8 years of hearing that BP was moving beyond dirty old fossil fuel, a third of people surveyed thought it was now a green company. Then, in 2010, BP's Deepwater Horizon oil rig exploded, vomiting out about 206 million gallons of crude into the Gulf of Mexico. Don't forget, just 1 quart of oil can contaminate up to 250,000 gallons of water, or create an oil slick that spreads for 2 acres. Let's see, there are 4 quarts in a gallon. That means roughly 824 million quarts times 250,000 gallons of water, and my calculator can't figure it out. Anyways, it wasn't a very green thing for a green company like BP to do. So what did BP do after it accidentally wrecked the Gulf? It cranked out some more ads, of course. BP was terrified of losing customers. In fact, in the first 2 months after the spill, company revenues dropped an estimated 18%. Desperate to pull out of this nosedive, BP took to the airwaves, spending $100 million in advertising in the first 4 months after the disaster. That's an average of $5 million a week. 2 years later, they committed to spending another $500 million in ads to repair their tarnished image. Apparently it worked because BP never went out of business. In fact, later studies showed that the communities with the most exposure to BP's earlier Beyond Petroleum campaign had the smallest losses after the disaster. The people there had somehow been inoculated by BP's advertising. It would seem all's well that ends well. The company's fully bounced back with more than $250 billion in revenue in 2022. The Gulf of Mexico, not so much. Tens of thousands of jobs lost, a lowball $9 billion in economic impact, lasting damage to U.S. wetlands. That's how it's done, folks. That is some good corporate propaganda. The word propaganda obviously has a negative connotation in modern society because of its association with totalitarian regimes. But in truth, propaganda is a neutral concept that means influence rather than manipulation of opinion in a particular direction. Writer Alain de Botton points out how the Catholic Church has been using propaganda techniques for hundreds of years, but we don't think it's a bad thing because they were propagating positive concepts like modesty, friendship, and courage. While it's true that the word has fallen out of fashion, the process is still very much alive and actively shaping opinions every day. There's no such thing as a propaganda industry today. It goes by a much nicer name, public relations. Did you know there are roughly 3 public relations professionals for every journalist working in the United States today? That's 244,000 PR pros in 2019, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, versus around 88,000 journos, though some industry insiders put the ratio at closer to 6 to 1. That's up from roughly 1 to 1 as recently as 1995. If you have any lingering doubts that propaganda and public relations are the same thing, consider the 3 most important characteristics of propaganda, according to communications professor Nancy Snow. First, propaganda is communication designed to intentionally change the opinions of a target audience. Second, the person communicating has something to gain by presenting their case to the audience. Third, there's usually a one-way flow of information from the person transmitting their message to those receiving it. Unlike, say, education, which tends to be a two-way relationship between teacher and student. Propaganda and public relations have the same goals and job description. Ergo, they are the same thing. Revenues in the American public relations industry were about $14 billion in 2008 alone. As Noam Chomsky has said, corporations and the rich don't spend billions on propaganda for the fun of it. They do it for a reason. Please give a like, follow, favorite, repost, and follow my Linktree to sign up for my Substack. Let's make them pay.